Thanks to LG for sponsoring this video.
You know that feeling when you're working in public and people keep walking behind you? Doesn't it feel like everyone's staring at your screen? I always find myself tilting my monitor even though I know I have nothing to hide. Wait, except for that. But instead of panicking, I can do something special with this laptop. Let's go ahead and enable something called Privacy Guard, which will blur our screen when someone else is looking. I have never seen a laptop with this feature, but this right here is no ordinary laptop. This is the brand new LG Gram Pro, which is one of the coolest devices I have ever gotten my hands on. It has a bunch of magical features to boost your productivity, but before we dive in, let's see what we're dealing with. For something named the Gram, this thing definitely lives up to its name. It's a 16-inch laptop that weighs under 3 pounds, which is unheard of. It's so freakishly light that it almost feels like it's empty. But that doesn't mean it's fragile. This thing rocks a durable magnesium alloy body. Now let's pop this open and check out the inside. The screen here has a 2580 by 1600 resolution, which is sharper than QHD and gives you more vertical space than a typical 16 by 9 screen. If that sounded like gibberish, no worries. Let me explain this so simply that even Mahad would understand. Big screen, more room, good for multitasking. And don't worry, this thing can multitask thanks to its 32 gigs of RAM and the Intel Lunar Lake processor, which is also very power efficient. But what makes this laptop different from other AI laptops is that it has a hybrid system. It means it can run AI locally on the device, and it can also run AI on the cloud. The on-device AI doesn't need internet to work. It securely analyzes your local data to provide personalized solutions like file search, document summaries, and time travel, which we'll get to in a bit. Trust me, that feature is crazy. The cloud AI, on the other hand, is based on GPT-4o technology. So let's see it in action. We're gonna start with the on-device features and then move over to the cloud features. The first on-device feature I wanna cover is none other than time travel. This one is sick. So let's say you're writing an essay or a report. You've been going at it non-stop, writing page after page after page, but you forget to press save. Do you panic? Do you curl up into a ball and cry? No. Most people would be cooked, but not you. Thanks to the on-device AI, we can use time travel to retrace our screen history. Check it out. We can rewind our screen to the exact moment we forgot to press save, copy the text, and paste it back into our document. Lifesaver. And this doesn't only apply to documents. You can also use it on a meeting or lecture. Let's say you're on a Zoom call but get interrupted in the middle because you have an annoying sibling that constantly pesters you. Like, constantly. With time travel, you can simply rewind to the part you missed and easily catch up. Now, this rewind bar that we're using is cool and all, but there's an even easier way to retrace your history. You can search for previous screens using keywords that were either shown or even spoken. For example, if your professor mentioned something important about quantum physics, but you missed it because you were distracted, you can simply search up quantum physics afterwards. Time travel will find the exact moment that term was discussed, even if it was simply spoken and not shown on screen. And don't worry, because this feature uses on-device AI, all your data is stored and encrypted securely on the device. Nobody else has access to this history. Plus, you can delete recordings manually and turn off time travel when you don't need it. But I do recommend turning it on whenever you're in class or working on a project. But that leads us to the big question. How the heck am I using time travel and all these other AI features? We're using a program called Gram Chat, which comes installed on the Gram Pro. But you'll quickly notice that there are two versions of Gram Chat. There's a blue one, which is for the cloud AI, and then there's a pink one, which is for the on-device AI, which is what we're using right now. Let's check out some other on-device AI features. So you want to know one feature that most computers are pretty bad at? Searching. I know that might sound a little weird, but stick with me. Whenever you want to look for a file, you have to go by the file name. But my file names are garbage, as are most students. For example, notes2.pdf, who knows what's inside this thing? Could it be my physics notes from MIT, my meeting notes from an internship? I have to click on all these files to figure out what I'm looking for. Yep, that is not what I'm looking for. But thanks to GramChat's search feature, we can search not only by file name, but also by what's inside the file. So let's say I want to find my physics notes. At MIT, that was part of a class called 801, so let's type that in, and perfect. Our notes are in a file called getmeoutofhereimsobored.pdf. Sounds about right. But see, there is no way I would have searched for that. Oh, and this feature doesn't only search through text documents. It can also recognize text within images. Let's say you saved an image of the Krebs cycle on your computer. Instead of hunting through your file system, we can simply use image search. And there we go. By the way, I feel like I've studied this diagram dozens of times, but still don't have it memorized. That's the thing about bio. You have to memorize so much stuff. from diagrams to chemical reactions to vocab words, which can take forever. But maybe there's a way to get through this faster, and hopefully you see where I'm going with this. GramChat also has the ability to summarize documents without the internet. Just drag and drop your documents and GramChat will quickly extract the main points. Doesn't matter if you're on a bus to school, doesn't matter if you're on a flight, doesn't matter if the power is out, the summarize feature is always there for you, even when your favorite LLM isn't. But see, now summaries are kind of basic. What if we want to kick it up a notch by analyzing our documents? For example, maybe our notes are missing some key concepts or even have some mistakes. That's when we're going to need the internet again, so we can turn to GramChat Cloud and use the Document AI feature. Think of it as the summarize feature, but on steroids. Not only can it extract key details, but it can also analyze our documents. So let's just throw in our notes right here and ask it to identify potential gaps. And there we go. We now have both a summary of our notes and a list of ways to improve them. And if you have questions about the feedback, you can turn to the built-in Q&A chatbot to ask for clarification. For example, let's ask it to clarify the different stages of the Krebs cycle. And once we've taken a look at this, we can ask it to generate practice questions. What makes GramChat Cloud special is that it's powered by GPT-4o technology. GramChat Cloud gives you access to this advanced AI for an entire year after your purchase, making it much more capable than standard chatbots. But the one feature I think some of you might use even more than the Q&A chatbot is function calling. Hey, so my calendar's free at 3 tomorrow. You're available to meet then, right? What? I thought you said tomorrow worked. What about Thursday? What about Friday or Saturday or Sunday? Whatever. I feel sorry for the club presidents, team leaders, sports team captains, and whoever else has to endure the pain of organizing all team meetings. That genuinely has to be one of the hardest tasks ever. But luckily, that task is about to get a lot easier thanks to function calling on the Gram Pro. It's pretty hard for me to decide on my favorite feature, but this one might be it. Function calling can execute tasks in your calendar or in your email on your behalf. This actually feels like having a personal assistant. For example, let's say you're the president of your school's robotics team, and let's assume it's huge, 10, 20, or even 30 members. I would rather build every robot alone than manually check every member's calendar to find the perfect meeting time. Luckily, I can simply tell GramChat to check my team's availability, schedule a weekly meeting for the earliest time slot, and notify everyone via email. It's actually that simple. And after the meeting, I can use the same feature to summarize the meeting notes and draft an all-team email with the key points. I actually gotta tell Mahad about this feature because I'm sure he's gonna love this. But you know what he's gonna love even more? That privacy guard feature I showed you at the start of this video. He gets really mad when people peek at his screen. Sorry, when I peek at his screen. So I want to show you something called LG Glance, which powers Privacy Guard and a bunch of other neat features. First, let's look at something called Snap Window and Smart Pointer. If you're using multiple monitors, this feature will send your pointer and your windows to whichever screen you're looking at. This is truly for the students and professionals who are operating at peak productivity. The next feature is posture warning, which I know many of y'all need, myself included. LG Glance can warn you whenever you're sitting too close to the screen and tell you to sit back. Similar to this is the third feature that I want to highlight, 20-20-20. If y'all have seen any of my shorts, you already know about the 20-20-20 rule. Essentially, if you've been working for 20 minutes, the LG Gram will tell you to look at something 20 feet away for 20 minutes, which is a great way to reduce eye fatigue. At this point, this laptop is literally turning into my mom, in a good way. And don't worry, you can also turn these features off if you want. But one feature that I'll definitely keep on is GramLink 2.0. This feature connects your phone or tablet to your Gram Pro so you have a fully integrated workspace. And the best part, it works for both iOS and Android devices. For example, after you enable Link, your Gram Pro will receive notifications from your phone. This way you don't have to keep obsessively checking your phone to see if you missed anything. You can also share files from your phone to your laptop and vice versa. This is great for students because you can instantly transfer over any pictures or recordings from lecture. And one of my favorite upgrades in version 2.0 is that you can also take phone calls directly on your laptop. If someone calls you while you're deep in an assignment, you can answer right from your Gram Pro without breaking your workflow. And you can also enhance your workflow by using GramLink to extend your screen. For example, if you have a tablet, you can use it as an additional monitor. I know for a fact I would have loved this as a student because today I can't live without my triple monitor setup. And if you're in college or the workforce and haven't tried using an extra monitor, please do so because it'll genuinely change your life. And with that, I hope this video has changed yours. If not, I hope it's helped you at least realize how the Gram Pro can be incredibly beneficial to your productivity and self-development. Huge thank you to LG for sponsoring this video, and if you want to grab the Gram Pro yourself, check out the link in my description. I've also included a few promotion codes that you can use for $100 off. Have fun, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you again next time.